It's now my honor to move forward with this program and getting ready to introduce our XCEL Town Hall, a call to action for men of excellence. Gentlemen and brothers, what will we do is the question of the day to make a difference after this summit. Will we take action? This moment, in fact, it's our call to action. In a time, as most of us know, this of unprecedented change, challenges abound all around us, but opportunities as well. We must hold ourselves, that's true, ourselves, but hold each other accountable. This is absolutely important for moving forward and moving forward with purpose. As you found out by now, and as you know, no one's coming to do the work for us. It's not going to happen, but the future is absolutely ours to shape, and it's time to step up because everything depends on it. Our next panel is going to be absolutely amazing. As I begin to call our panelists to the stage, let's give each of them a warm round of applause. The founder of FraserNet Inc., George C. Fraser. You can keep it on, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. The senior pastor of the Grace Baptist Church in Mount Vernon, New York, and XCEL Award Honoree, Reverend Dr. W. Franklyn Richardson. Give him a round of applause, please. Founder, chairman, and CEO of Operation Hope Inc., John Hope Bryant, joins us again. And the chairman and CEO of Coca-Cola Beverages Florida and Earl G. Graves Sr. Vanguard Award Honoree, Troy Taylor. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the 2024 XCEL Award Honoree, the amazing Ed Gordon.
Ramon, do you wake up like that, man?
Yes, sir.
My man. All right. I'm just checking. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you do that on Sunday, or do they know what's happening? Good afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon.
My men. Right on. Thank you. All right, listen, we're just going to get right into this, but we're going to give you some of the rules that we're going to work by today. We felt like it was important for you all to hear from these honorees. But we also note that to get to the stature and the life experience that they've had, you have to be a man of a certain age. And so we're understanding that there is a generation or two that is not represented on stage, but you would assume that you understand that. But we do want to hear from that generation. So I'm going to be out in the audience quite a bit, getting you to participate in that way. I will ask you if, in fact, you have a question, and that's what it should be, to keep it as concise as possible so we can get as many questions as we can. Do not reach for the mic. I'm holding the mic. Okay? Ain't your show today. But we will do that. And we're going to look at a number of areas. We want to be as solution-oriented as we can today. Often we come here, we hear from people, but we aren't necessarily giving folks as many marching orders as I would like to see us do. Often people leave, they're excited, but then they think, well, what should I do next? And really, you should come to these kinds of conferences with the idea that I should leave with a marching order. I should leave with something to do next, and we hope that this will be one of those sessions that ignites something in you. So we're going to talk a little bit of politics, economics, education. We're going to be a little bit all over the map because we know we're not going to solve any of the problems today, but we do want to be an igniter today. And we want you to be involved. So I will be right out there with you in just a moment. But what I'd love to do is ask these gentlemen, and John has so graciously said, hey, they heard from me this morning, so I don't necessarily need to give an opening statement, and appreciate that. But what I will ask of the other three gentlemen is to just give us a sense of what you think we should know. As Butch said, we are in perilous times. And so what do you believe we need to be paying attention to? What do we need to be focused on? And I'll start far left and go down the line. So Troy, if you would.
Thank you. Happy to be back on stage today. I think, I'll piggyback off of something I said last night. I think the way I look at it, we were always in perilous times. I mean, that's kind of the existence of us as black people in America for a long time. Some days, some decades have been better than others, but it's always been some really great challenges for us. And we always must pay attention to that we have to be at the top of our game no matter what's going on around us, no matter what the economy is doing, what politicians are doing statewide, nationally, globally. We must always be at the top of our game and focused on it. We should never rest. I'm not saying don't take a rest, we just should never rest. And I think that the biggest thing that we should be focused on is what we try to focus on, what I try to focus on in my daily life, what I try to focus on from a business standpoint most days is I focus on the controllable. What are the things I control? You got to get those things right. You know the things that you control and have a direct impact on yourself, how you carry yourself, your family, the things you do in your community, how you focus on those things. Focus on the controllables. If you focus on the controllables first and get those right, most of the time really good things will happen. But we must focus on the controllables and the fundamentals in our own lives and our own communities first.
Rev?
Well, I think, gathering in this setting where all of us are trying to be aspirational in terms of finance, in terms of realized justice, I think on the road to success, and it probably comes out of my own orientation, that we need to also develop a culture of integrity and honesty, and that we need to put in our lives not just capital, financial capital, which we ought to, but we also ought to bring with that capital a sense of spiritual capital. So we cannot be what we ought to be if we are simply measuring our value on the basis of our financial status. Yes. We need the finance, but we don't need to become people who have finance but have no integrity and have no faith. And so those things will outlast the financial aspirations that we have.
George?
We need to focus on us, because ain't nobody saving black people but black people. It's been 400 years and we ain't saved. Who are we waiting for? We're waiting for us. I want to say the next thing, and still be loved as an elder. I have found the enemy, and the enemy is us. Don't spend major time with minor people. People going nowhere want you to go nowhere with them. People doing nothing want you to do nothing with them. If you want to change your life, change your relationships. The human connection is profoundly important in our lives. There is no success that you can attain, sustain, or maintain on your own by yourself in a vacuum. There's a biblical phrase in the Bible, a direct quote from Jesus Christ, John 5:30. And Jesus said, I'll repeat that, and Jesus said, I of my own self can do nothing. Now this was Jesus, the Son of God, and he couldn't get it done on his own by himself in a vacuum. He had 12 disciples and one turned on him. So this is critically important. If we are to unify, if we are to collaborate, it will begin with us. We will have allies. You're not smart if you don't have allies. But fundamentally, the responsibility falls on us. And there's a plethora of ways that it's being done. And there are endless examples of brothers and sisters moving in the right direction. But we have not reached critical mass. And we have a billionaire class in the culture. 25 black billionaires in the world. 14 of them are right here in the United States of America. There's some higher level objectives for the billionaire class. So I'll put a pin in that, and we'll pick up on that later.
I want to come to you, John, if I may, and kind of consolidate all that's been said and bring this question to you. And it's very easy to say that this is not just a question for black folks, this is a question for America. But I always say my focus is to question and to move us along. Sure. So I don't want to hear, oh, well, white folk do it too. Great, let them do it. Let's deal with what we're doing, though. Mm-hmm. And that is accountability and ownership, not of business, but of how you comport yourself. Mm-hmm. There was a time, and this is not an old guy looking back at the good old days, but some things still work. There was a time that we represented our family and our community. Mm-hmm. You know, you were told, don't go making a fool of all of us. Yep. Give me a sense of how we should try to move back to accountability of our community and more specifically of leadership, because I think there is a lack. Rev and I were just talking about this at lunch. There's a lack of accountability for those who either are leading us or who tell us they are leading us.
Yeah. First of all, Ed, thank you for all you do. You are an extraordinary communicator of the goodness of us, and you are a walking.
I appreciate it.
You are a walking example of a great black man, or a great man who happens to be black, to quote Butch. Black is the only color that includes every other color. It's not an accident. The first human being ever to walk the face of the earth came from Africa. When you got the power, you don't need to use it. We shouldn't be gender flexing and popping our collars. People are unconsciously afraid of us. We need to cut them a break. Talk without being offensive, listen without being defensive. Always leave even your adversary with their dignity. Because if you don't, they'll spend the rest of their life working to make you miserable. It becomes personal. Over mess, not in it. But in order to do that, you have to be comfortable in your own skin, which is a whole deeper conversation that started 400 years ago, where the racial word white was literally created in North America. Didn't exist before that. World's 5 billion years old. Neanderthal life, 200 million years old. Modern human beings, 100 million years, 100,000 years old. 6,000 years ago for Enlightenment, 2,000 years, 3,000 years of Jesus. But the word white was created 400 years ago. And blah, 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 slavery, et cetera, this repulsive system. It destroyed and devastated our self-esteem. So we have high confidence but low self-esteem, which is different from our African Caribbean brothers and our African brothers, who tend to have high self-esteem and temporarily lower levels of confidence because they don't come from a market economy that's exploding with opportunity like this. They get here though, within a few years, the confidence comes. If I don't like me, I'm not gonna like you. I mentioned that earlier. So we had this grounding because of a crisis. We were grounded in spirituality. We had no place to go. The only place that was free was the church. The only person who could, the first freedom fighter was a pastor, because he's the only person who could talk freely. So when that went away, when that pressure went away, many of us walked away from the one thing that gave us our strength, which was spirituality, which is what the pastor said. My number one quality, one asset is that I'm reasonably comfortable in my own skin. That's him, not me. So it doesn't surprise me that we walked away from the values and we start talking about money. And I mean, songs used to be about love and this and that. Now songs, up until recently, a car, dollars and bees and all kind of things. And I just think that, you go far enough to the North Pole, you end up south. Something miraculous happened to me on social media, Ed, that speaks to this. About 4 or 5 years ago, I just said, bunk it. Like, I'm not concerned whether somebody likes me, don't like me, you like what I'm saying. I need to go to bed at night knowing that I try to help my people. I'm gonna tell you the truth. You don't like it? It's okay, you don't like me, I like me. I was prepared to be unliked by all the black people. Because I just figured we were lying to ourselves. Like, clearly our business plan was not working. Not my opinion. We're at negative, every negative indicator you can imagine. Clearly it wasn't working. So I decided to lay in. To my utter surprise, we clicked into that. And I don't know what it was, but I think it's authenticity, I'm not quite sure it is. But I'd rather you respect me and learn to like me than like me and never respect me. In the last 2 years, I've had 900 million video views in 2 years. Not on mainstream media, on digital. These are people who's choosing you. And what they're saying is, I'm desperate for the truth. I'm desperate for a role model. I'm desperate for somebody who is strong enough to tell me no. Tell me no. We want yes, but we know sometimes, I didn't like my mother for 20 years. She told me no. 20 years later, it's like, oh my God, thanks for telling me no. Mm-hmm. So too many parents want to be their friend, want to be your child's friend. No, you're the parent and you failed a matriculation exam. So we have got to, I think rainbows follow stars. We're at this pivot point where I think what you're saying as a problem is beginning to shift. I think that we're dying for spirituality. We want to live again. We're dying for purpose and meaning. We want to know how the stuff work. And that is very inspiring. And so I think the problem, which is real, and we were heading for a cliff, we pivoted, and the society has helped. Certain people in this country have unified Black America. I won't be naming names. What are we gonna do about it now? And I think that we just need hope with a business plan, which is what you guys are doing.
Troy, I see you want to jump in. Let me do this, and then I'm going to head my way, and we're going to pick a particular topic to kind of focus on the front end. But I would like you to say your point, but I also want you to pick up on this. I thought it was interesting last night and so spot on when you talked about connectivity.
Right.
What bothers me is, and this happens, this is not new. Every new generation believes they know better than the previous. Every previous generation likes to say, them young people don't know anything. But there is a reality for me to get people to understand young people didn't come here with any different DNA than we did. And I say any issues that young people really have are based on what we didn't do to show them the way. Give me a sense of connectivity generationally, because whether we like to admit it or not, there is a huge problem with young Black men in particular right now.
Yeah, sure. I think, as we sit here and it's clear that we're all up here with men of faith. And faith teaches us, seek to understand before we seek to be understood at times. And I think the lack of connectivity was based upon the fact that the elder generations don't always seek to understand. Say, okay, young man, young woman, what's going on with you? Talk to me. I want to understand. I want to hear you. I see you. I want to hear you, and I want to understand you. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's in your head. Tell me what's in your heart. Tell me what's going on before I tell you what I think you need to do or what I think may help you. It was interesting. This was years ago. I was talking to a pastor, a guy from St. Louis, and he told me a story about how they had gone into a neighborhood, and they had done a food drive, and they brought a bunch of canned goods. And they had the canned goods, they were passing out the canned goods, and it didn't seem like the people were appreciative of all this food that they were bringing. And then they realized they didn't ask the people, well, what do you need? And the people weren't hungry, their lights weren't on. They needed clothes. You didn't ask, you didn't seek to understand what it is they were going through, what they need. How could you help best? Because if you're saying I'm here to help you, I need to understand how you need to be helped. Because you don't want to be like the kid trying to help grandma bake the cake. You don't want to be the help that hinders. You know, kid running around in the kitchen, you ain't helping grandma. Grandma wants you out the way. You don't want to be the help that hinders. You want to be the help that helps. And sometimes you have to sit down and say, what's on your mind?
Yep.
Like we do with our kids. What's on your mind? Son, daughter, I see you going through something. What's really on your mind? And I wanted to touch on something Brother John just said. We have to get away from some outside source being the catalyst of getting us fired up.
That's right.
We don't need that. We should always have that fire in our belly. We should always have that catalyst in our own self, in our own community, to stay fired up about our progress, about our community, about our kids, about our women, about our young men, and about our business. I don't need anybody in elected office to get me fired up. I stay fired up. I don't care what's going on. I stay fired up and focused. And if I can say this, because it didn't come across in the video, when they did the interview, I said something that some people may say is a little controversial. I'm fine with that. I say controversial stuff all the time. Coke Florida people will tell you that. I'm looking at this and they say, call to action for men of excellence. I think in the black community, because I'm big on definition, we were talking about this. How do we define excellence? What does that word really mean? Integrity. Thank you, Red. Is integrity part of the definition of excellence? It should be at the top of it. And I said sometimes when we say black excellence, who has the most money, who's at Martha's Vineyard, who's at the Grammys, come on. I talked about my grandfather, not educated, took care of his family, retired from a man of excellence, did stuff in his, that's excellence. What is truly black excellence? We have to define that better, because right now, social media also has the wrong definition of what black excellence is.
It's a throwaway line. It's become a pop culture line, and we like it to use it as a tag, but to your point, it's the definition. Yep. Rev, I want to come to you very quickly, and then I'm going to make my way to the audience, and I see you want to add something, George. When we look at the last election, and we look at black men, there were a lot of people who were critical of either black men not voting or black men over-indexing. Indexing is what a lot of people called it for Donald Trump. Conventionally, one would not believe that's the case. When we look at black churches, we do not see black men in the pews in the numbers that we would hope. There is a disconnect. And this isn't just young black men. This is black men of all age groups. There is a disconnect that many of us have. Give me a sense of one who counsels the soul and the spirit, what we need to really look at when we close that door and we're by ourselves, because it's very difficult for us to be vulnerable in front of people. So when you're by yourself, when you are allowing that vulnerability to come, what do you think we need to be looking at?
I think we need to be sharpening our goals. What matters? What is valuable to us? What is lasting? What is fulfilling? Because sometimes we spend so much time on pursuing things that once we achieve them, they don't deliver what we thought we were after. So I think it's a matter of us understanding ourselves, what we expect of ourselves, how do we buy into what is meaningful. And I think when you talk about churches, we're talking about people whose spirituality needs to be cultivated. And we've abandoned, I mean, it's amazing that we have, these men don't come to church or whatever. To a large degree, we have abandoned the value of church in response to secular ambitions. We've lost some values that our forebears had. And the times in which we live require those values. We cannot win simply letting the football field be defined by others. We have to define our own place of play. And so I really think that we, as we move to this excellence agenda, we have to consider how we make people come to grips with what they value and what's important and what's lasting. Last night I talked about how we pass it on to the next generation. Part of what we pass on to the next generation is not just money, it's values. It's many of our young people today suffer from the values that have brought us where we are. So we want to go back to affirming, not go back, because go back is nothing. We want to go forward affirming the values that have gotten us where we are. And we need to examine what those values are, because we have not always had wealth, we've not always had opportunity, but we had values that gave us the capacity to get through that.
George, hang on just a second. I'll let you pick up on this point. I'm going to make my way out to the audience. I'm going to start to my left, what I would ask you to do, and then I'll work my way over. So if I stay on this side for a minute, I am coming on this side. Hold your hand up. I will come to you. I will be as fair in terms of equity of both sides as I can be. Again, please keep your question short. I only know a couple of y'all, so I'm gonna snatch that mic. If you get mad at me, well, to hell with you, you wasn't buying me dinner anyway. So that's what we will do. George, go ahead.
There's an old trope, if the fish stinks, look to the head. It's leadership, leadership, leadership. Let me turn leadership upside down, I think, for the 21st century. Our impression of leadership is top down. We're at the top of the mountain giving directions. I don't know if you've ever watched a wolf pack, but the leader of the wolf pack when wolves are on march are in the back. And I believe that leadership going forward into the 21st century for us must be at the bottom. Leaders are the foundation. A house cannot stand without a strong foundation. It could stand with a leaky roof on top, but it can't stand with a weak foundation. It will collapse. Leaders are the foundation. They're the foundation of the vision, the goals, and objectives of everything above them. Their job is to cultivate, nurture, and prepare their team, their family, to get to the top, where they then return back to the bottom. That's a little paradigm shift. My favorite quote outside of the Bible, one of my favorite quotes, is a quote from Drake. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Oh yeah. The strength for us is at the bottom, teaching, growing. I've said to many entrepreneurial audiences, you don't grow a business, you grow your people. And your people grow your business. Mess that up and see what your business looks like. We're at the bottom, and this is extraordinarily important. There's one other point. I don't want this to sound like it's self-serving. America is the only country in the diaspora that does not value wisdom. We just look at old people as old people. If you go to the continent, I've been there 31 times, there is nothing of any significance done by anyone without referral to and advising counsel from elders. I cannot tell you how many conferences I speak at in a given year. I don't know if I've seen one panel, this may be the closest, of a council of elders talking to next generation coming up, answering questions, giving advice and counsel. I don't know that we value that. Now, don't get it twisted. Doesn't mean because you're old, you are wise. We're talking about wisdom, wise, folks who have gotten old and are wise. I want to answer Troy's question on what is the definition of success?
Or excellence.
For me, it's very, very simple and modeled in my own personal behavior. We, as black people, we must learn, we must earn, and then we must return. That we have a lot of us learning and a lot of us earning, but not enough of us returning. And therein lies our problem, which goes back to the first statement I made. We are responsible for our own success. Ain't nobody saving us but us.
All right, Stan.
That means the best have to come back and invest. One final thought. No, I already said it, so I'll close it there.
Great, George, because I was coming for you. Let me also say to all of us, and I just want to pick up on a couple of points that they made. I think that we should leave this room and pledge that we are going to hold one another accountable.
Amen.
The idea of black men holding black men accountable
Amen.
is vital to our survival, because we should understand that we do know what it is to be a black man in this country. And even if you look across the room and think you have nothing in common with that person, you're probably wrong. We wake up every day and face a world and a country that really doesn't respect us, and oftentimes really doesn't want us. And so what was said here, I think John suggested it, the idea of being the best that you can be is what we need to push one another to do. So I would hope we would do that. And what Rev said, I will tell you, in terms of riches and success, I've been blessed to have many successes in my career, but my daughter got married 2 weeks ago. And I have, thank you. And I know we said we shouldn't crowdfund, but I had to pay for that sucker, so I will be putting a QR code on that joint in a minute. But I will tell you the feeling that I had of success to watch her and to see where she has grown and goes, and now to hand her off in old terms to someone, a black man who I'm proud of as well, really speaks to success and what we were doing and what we used to think is successful. So I think that we just need to make sure that we define success and excellence for ourselves. Yes, sir. Question, and tell us who you are and where you're from.
So James Lake from United Health Group. So 2 really quick things. One of the things that stood out to me yesterday was when you said on your tombstone you want to make sure it says he mattered. And I think by building that wealth amongst us, I think that's a strong point. And so the other thing that popped off for me today, and we're chatting about at the table, is just that 40%, right, that entrepreneurial opportunity. Well, many of us, most of us in this room are not entrepreneurs. We're kind of in the middle of our careers. We're at our United Health Groups, we're at our JP Morgans and so forth. So what is that interim step between you're not going to start your own business maybe at 40, 50 years old, but all that opportunity is there to bring it to, you know, the rest of our, maybe the young folks that are coming up, or have that interim step between actually owning a business but still being part of a corporate America?
Thank you.
That, no, is it two?
The first step,
Who's it to?
He suggested you. John.
John.
So, I'll be quick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Johnny.
George should do this all by himself. He don't need another panelist. Most millionaires were created in their mid to late 50s. That's a global stat. Most people do that through compounding. The difference between a hustler and a businessman is paperwork. As a corporate executive, you're used to paperwork. You've got discipline, which means you are really perfectly situated for compounding. The markets will help you to get to where you need to be. Consider yourself J. Smith, LLC. You're your own limited liability corporation. You're your own brand. And if you want to amplify it, you can make your 9 to 5 finance your 5 to 9. You can have a side hustle. I think we all should have one. It could be investing. It could be a service business. It could be artificial intelligence. It could be investing with a spinoff of one of his subsidiaries. You're gonna have to live a little bit outside the box, but not far outside the box. If you get your credit score right, you invest in the market the way I said, you buy your house and you buy an income producing property, or maybe a duplex. You don't need to do extraordinary things. Do the basics. You'll be worth 7 figures if you start in your mid-40s. And like I said, most millionaires, don't trust me, do your own research, got there in their late 50s in a traditional path. And we can talk offline. If you want to be more assertive, I suggest you go buy a business, or there's some other things you can do. This generation will live to 100. Wellness, AI is going to probably solve cancer in 10 years. You're going to have more quality, you're going to have more life, you want to have more quality of life tied to that.
All right, question here. Hello, I am Adonis Belton. I'm from TE Connectivity. And on the topic of service and giving back to community and inspiring the younger generation, I've found that it's very easy to stay in the path or the lane that we found ourselves most comfortable in. So how do you best inspire and show the worth of diversifying the talent and abilities to communities that range in different demographics, whether that's age, heritage, professional dreams, etc.?
Anybody specific you want to answer that?
Nobody specific. If anybody who's willing to answer, I'm ready to take notes.
George will answer.
You'll have to narrow that down.
I was kidding, George.
You'll
I was
have to
kidding.
narrow that question down to a provocative sentence.
So give us a sense of what you specifically are talking about.
So, for example,
No, not an example. I just need a question, man.
So, a group of friends and I that I grew up with wanted to create an organization that just builds
Next up.
black talent from elementary school, middle school, high school, and beyond. And we all have differing backgrounds. I'm in engineering, I have friends in media and physical therapy, and so on and so forth. So with our range of talents, we want to be able to reach a range of different communities that we can evolve to.
Yeah, I need that question.
So what's the best way to use our talents together to inspire those different communities without leaving people?
I think I'm gonna help you out. How can they build an Avengers, if you will, right? Right? So he's got a group of friends who have divergent talents. They want to come together and give to the community. Is that fair? I said, all right, big fella, go sit down. Thank you, man.
Right.
How can he bring this group together to be positive for the community?
Yeah, well, you have to answer, the group has to answer the first question, why? Why? What is the raison d'etre? What is the reason for being? I'll say it a different way. There are only 2 things that you need to succeed at anything. You need focus, laser focus. You gotta answer the word, you gotta answer why. That's the focus. Good. And then you need passion. In other words, your why, whatever it may be, is something that you are excited about, that you are on fire about. So you can put together the Avengers, but you got to answer the first question, why? That's the focus. And are you truly excited about it?
Passion.
That's the most important thing. Are you on fire? In other words, passion will help you do whatever it is you decide to do well. I've never met anyone that hated what they were doing and was good at it. Okay? So why do you want the Avengers or put them together? What is the focus, right? And are you collectively all in?
If I could just interject just quickly, I agree with the passion. I'll go back to something I said earlier, and I'll take it from a business reference standpoint. If you want to make a real impact in the community that you're in, do a market assessment. What does the community need? I'm back to ask the question. Go to the churches, go to the schools, talk to the parents, go to Little League, just go around in the community and see what are the critical things that the people you're trying to make the most impact on, what do they need? If they're black young men, do they know how to even tuck their shirt in and tie their shoe? Like, show them those things. Touch them that way before you say, well, do you want to be an engineer? Or do you want to be a businessman? Or do you want to be this? I need to show you how to be a young man with your shoulders up and back and your chin up. How to shake someone's hand firmly, look him in the eye. Those basic things, start there. But go and do the market assessment first. Look around and go to the church, go to the schools, talk to parents, look in your own family. What do we need here first? And address that.
And I would say to you very quickly and truthfully, there used to be an old phrase, paralysis by analysis. You have that group. You don't really need to ask that question. I do agree with the market research and assessment. But once you have it, nothing's preventing you from calling the fellas and say, this is what we're going to do. There's no impediment there. So really, it's about what you all tend to do. I've got you and two more questions on this side, and then I'm going to head. What's up, fellas? I'm going to head over there in a second. I know, they're like, we ready.
How y'all doing? Martin Booker with AARP Foundation. And I just wanted to get some personal wisdom from whoever has the best story to answer this. So can you tell me about a time when your personality traits or character or your vices have helped or hindered your career trajectory, business deals, or your personal finances?
Yesterday.
I'll beat you today.
This morning. And we're not joking. Like you, there's three types of people like three types of birds. There's eagles, there's buzzards, and there's turkeys. Eagles don't fly in packs. You never seen a flock of eagles. Turkeys love packs. Well, buzzards love packs. They're low altitude birds. Turkeys got wings and can't fly. All they do is profile. If you're honest with yourself, in a typical week, you're all three. You're trying your best to be an eagle. You're trying your best. Every now and then, you fall short of the grace of God. You didn't get your rest. Right. Somebody irritated you. You acted like a buzzard. Yeah. And then every now and then you acted like a turkey. We're not as good as our compliments. We're not as bad as our criticisms. We just are who we are. We're God's children. Don't let the perfect be the death of the good. Get up every day and deliver the best you have. Just be the best you have. And when you screw up, apologize. Say, I'm sorry. I messed up. And people can feel that authenticity. This whole thing about being perfect, it's a lie. Nobody's perfect. And nobody's fully secure. What did Jesus say when he was being crucified? Now mind you, this is his Father. This is the Son of God talking to his Father. What did he say when he's being crucified? He knew he was going to be crucified. It was a setup. What did he say? Lord, why have you forsaken me? Father, why have you forsaken me? In a moment of pain, in a moment of insecurity. Am I off right?
You're right.
What? I had to check the source. At a moment, he knew this moment was coming. Mm-hmm. He knew it. It was a setup. He knew he was going to be given up. He was there to take our sins. And in that moment, he says, Lord, why have you forsaken me? Father, why have you forsaken me? And in that moment, he punched through it. Never let a crisis go to waste. Rainbows after storms. He punches through it. And at the end, the last breath, forgive them, Lord, they know not what they do. Woo! That's when he took all his power back. So if he can do it, we can do it. If he can be insecure, we can be insecure. If he can embrace his uncertainty, so can we. And still we rise.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes, sir.
Rev, we'll sit around and you give the benediction and we'll be all right there.
So thank you for your
went all day.
leadership.
That was good.
Thanks for your examples. Question about,
Beautiful.
so JP Morgan,
Beautiful.
Ken Gladney, we do executive leadership each year. We also do it within the four walls. You said earlier about self-esteem, right? And I think some of the things we talk about was with coaching, getting in a corporate environment, we can be stripped of our self-esteem when opportunities don't always happen for us, and we have to work through some of the minutia. What ideas or recommendations can each of you provide?
I can't have each of them. I know you gave money, JP Morgan, but I can't have each of them.
2 of them. How about 50? We're about shoot for the sky. Can't have 4. How about 2? How do you navigate that?
Which two
Thank
you
you.
want? Which
Well,
two?
basically, what's a cheat sheet on self-esteem?
I'll piggyback off of something, I think, for self-esteem that, you know, where you were going with some of this, John. I live by this and I share this with family and friends. Don't let your lows get too low or your highs get too high. Things are going to happen every day. If some bad things happen to you, if you fail, and you want to put your head underneath the covers and cry, go do it.
That's it.
But get up and get back to it. If you win and you had a great day, celebrate a little bit. I choose to smoke a cigar. Smoke a cigar, get back to work. Get back to it, because time waits for no man or woman.
This is your sweet spot.
So you got to get back to it. It's all of us. We're telling you, we're sitting here, and John just said it this morning, this afternoon, later today. It's good and bad things are going to happen. And you have to, as John said, you have to power through it. And I'm a man of faith. I know I'm going to power through it. I know I'm blessed and I'm going to power through it. Where you get your source from, let it be your source, but you have to power through. Don't let your highs get too high and your lows get too low. I'll tell a quick story about Rasheed Wallace. Anybody Rasheed Wallace, Detroit Pistons fan in here? Okay. When Rasheed was still in high school, he was like the #1 player in high school. North Carolina, the University of North Carolina won the championship, NCAA championship that year. The coach for North Carolina, Dean Smith, the day after they celebrated after they won the championship, you know where he was? He was in Philadelphia at Rasheed Wallace's home recruiting him. He celebrated that night and got back to it.
That's it.
Back to work.
That's it. Back to work.
Because he knew that season's over.
That's right.
What's next? He needed more players. He needed a Rasheed Wallace.
That's it.
He celebrated that night and he got back to it.
That's it.
That's life.
Ball don't lie.
Ball don't lie.
You know,
Rev, I'm gonna ask you to take the second answer to that, because I know that you counsel a lot of people who are in these positions. So I'm curious what you hear from them and what you tell them.
Yeah, I think that we have to always keep our self-esteem must always be bonded by our honesty with ourselves. We've got honesty with ourselves. We've got to be able to drop the hype about what we say of ourselves, but know who we are. So we'll know when we're flawed. And when we're flawed, we can find our way out of the dismalness that is defeating us. So for me, it's very important that we look at ourselves every day, identify our flaws, exercise the grace that we know is available, forgive ourselves, and go on and be what we can be.
Forgive ourselves.
Yeah. Can I
Yes,
take
sir.
it?
Hi, I'm Kadeem Yearwood.
Ed,
I'm sorry.
Ed, Dr. Fraser wanted to say something on.
Yeah. As you grow older and wiser, you're going to find out something very important, that your EQ, your emotional intelligence, will be far more important than your IQ. You could be Mensa, have a 180 IQ, but if you have the personality or the comportment, the mental comportment of a box of rocks, you're not going anywhere. I'm sorry. That's just life.
That's good.
In fact, 25% of divorces in our culture is really because of a low EQ. The ability to manage your 5 most important emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, shame, etc. I'm old school. I grew up in the jazz era. One of my favorite songs was by Oscar Brown Jr. You may not know who he is. Go to YouTube. He wrote an incredible song called Be Cool, Stay Cool. Be cool. And I love what Troy said, no highs, no lows. Be cool. Control your emotions in your responses to stimuli, wherever it may come. This is extremely important. Very successful people are really just very even, and their ability to work with and through other people is exceptional. Let me pivot on that for a second.
For a second, Doc.
Yeah, at our conference coming up in Atlanta in November, I'm going to introduce a new theme. Excellence is the base. Exceptionalism is the goal. We've got to raise the standard. Exceptional emotional intelligence will get you almost anything or anywhere you want to go.
All right, what I'm going to do, since we're all family here, is I'm going to do something we all do in our household when you downstairs and somebody's upstairs. Hey, Jen, how much do I have left? You can just yell it out to me, Jen.
14 minutes.
14 minutes. Thank you, John.
Okay.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask, again, because I got to get to this side of the room. I see you. One question, one response. If you have someone specific, point them out. Otherwise, I'll ask them just to jump on the question. So 1 and 1.
Yeah, this is for anyone who wants to answer. I really appreciate you all being here. On the learn, earn, return, you kind of talked about kind of giving back as a leader. And I was curious for all of your organizations, what type of strategic frameworks you've implemented at your organizations to encourage development of the talent of your business or your organization, and how do you encourage that?
Where are you from, man? Toledo?
I'm from the UK. I'm from London.
I thought you was from Ohio, man.
Do you remember the question? I was acting foolish. My apologies.
Yeah, I think I understand. I've told people who work for me, I have 400 employees, payroll a couple $1 million every 2 weeks. I've told them that if you don't embrace AI, you're out. I love you, but this is a whole new world. I want you to be with me. I'm with you. I'll train you. I'll give you. I'll do everything for you. But I want to be Netflix, not Blockbuster. I want to be Amazon and Walmart, not Kmart or Sears. You cannot sit around and meander and think the world's changing whether you like it or not. And when you're being run out of town, get in front of the crowd and make like a parade. So my team locked in. Now, if I'd given them an option, well, let me think about. No. I've just shut off the back. I've just shut off I've cut off the exit. There's no retreat. We're going this way, and I'm leading you. I didn't know anything about AI 2 years ago, but we're all going to be AI, internal and external, and now we're locked and loaded. So I think that yes, it's everything you said, but the leader, to quote Dr. Fraser, the leader has to set the tone.
All right, yes, sir.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Courtney Kennedy, Bank of New York. Troy, if I gave you 30 years to increase the number of black CEOs in Fortune 500 companies from 1.6% to 10%, what would it be?
What would what be?
What's the question?
Your strategy.
Oh, I have no idea.
That's right, dog. loaded a question.
I mean, I'm not afraid to say when I don't know something. I mean, listen.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I'll go back to this again.
Add nothing to that.
That was the most gangster. That was the most gangster answer
You gotta add
of
nothing
the
to that.
whole day.
That was a good answer.
That's good enough.
That's a good answer.
Yeah,
If Rev says good enough, it's good enough. But can I just say this little piece, Rev?
Go ahead.
It goes back to something I said. If we do that, then what? Are we excellent at that point? If we have more black CEOs, does that solve the ills of our community? What are we trying to do?
Yes, sir.
What are we really trying to do? Are we trying to create more black CEOs, more black? I just don't think that that is the goal of, or should be the goal of our community. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I actually agree with you.
All right, here we go. Another question.
I wish we had
and
10
I
minutes for that.
appreciate that you said, I don't know, because I thought the answer was 9%. So, 1 to 10, 9.
Oh, God.
Bruce Gellin, financial advisor with Equitable Advisors. I had a mentor tell me years ago that if you want to look at the health of a community, look at 3 institutions, the church, the family, and the education system. What area would you say is the area that we need to work on the most, especially as black men and leaders in our community?
I don't think we should separate any of those. I think we need all 3 of them. Any one missing, we are limping.
I'd like to take a crack at that. Is that okay, Ed?
Yes, absolutely.
Anything is missing, we're limping. I'm stealing that.
I'm less afraid of artificial intelligence and more afraid of artificial, or I should say, natural stupidity. AI will not replace you, but if you don't learn to use it, you will be replaced. This is the most important technological tool to come across, to make available to us, I think, in 100 years. It is a tool that can level the playing field. You have no excuse. Everything you want to know about anything, it's in your pocket and you can know it instantly. You can write a book. You could write a speech. Anything you could think of, you can have access to instantly. Learn how to leverage it and use it, and of course, trillions of dollars will be made with all kinds of tools using AI. And I know you know that Google is really AI. So now when you're asking Google for questions, you're actually using AI. John talks about it, we talk about it, we all talk about it. It is a revolutionary tool that we must use our creative genius, because that's what we are, in application of this incredible tool. That's all I want to say.
All right, here we go. I had to get a young lady in with us, so, but we.
Thank you. Yolanda M. Smith, I'm a branding expert and business strategist, and oftentimes I know that the perception is that the sisters don't support the brothers and oftentimes emasculate our men. I would like to know from your perspective, what can we do to be better supporters and cheerleaders of the black man?
Anyone particularly you want to answer?
John.
I'm glad they call on you first.
You got the prize, guy.
Damn! Woo! That was just wrong. Look, I think behind every successful man is an exhausted woman. And I think women have to understand that they are more mature than most men. you're emotional creatures. I mean, men can't give life. Women are the creators of life. And women have a connection to a higher power that men don't have. And so men are trying to get comfortable with our emotions. I mean, what we've been talking about here is really becoming comfortable with our insecurities and our fears and our emotions. And women are experts at that. So, you know, I've got a couple principles for a relationship. One, in a relationship, you got to decide whether you want to be right or you want to be married. Those are two different things. Anybody here who's married knows exactly what I'm talking about. Can I get an amen? Amen. Now, you might be right, but you won't be married. And so if you see that your husband is slipping on something and he's had a bad freaking day, as most black men will, because people are intimidated by black men, don't punch them in the emotional nose on top of that. Amen. They need a hug. They need some love. They need you to tell them that they need to be told they're incredible, that they are amazing. They need for you to buck up. They're not going to ask for this. Men, we're incapable of asking for the love we need. We need for you to use that insight to lift us up at that moment when we're feeling the lowest. And so here's my success quotient for a relationship. Now, I don't care whether it's a love relationship, a partnership, a friendship. A giver and a giver is exotic. A giver and a taker is neurotic. A taker and a taker is psychotic. Most of our relationships are neurotic relationships. There's a giver and there's a taker. It's not unconscious. They don't wake up in the morning and say, ooh, I'm going to take from you. But that's just the way it is. Be the net giver in the relationship. We really want giver and a giver. I mean, I don't do toxicity. If I have any sense that somebody's toxic in my life, you don't realize, but you're walking dead to me. I'm going to get you out of my life as soon as possible. And Quincy Jones once said, talking about a relationship he was in, he said, I said, you know, are you afraid that, you know, you're sad that she's gone? He said, the only thing worse than being alone is wishing that you were. So if you have toxicity in your life, get it out of your life. But if you got the right partner, then then 2 plus 2 should equal 6, 8, or 10. 2 plus 2 should not equal 4. You should be better together. When you got up last night to get your award, your biggest cheerleader was your partner.
Absolutely.
She was the first standing up with the loudest claps. All right, and you probably irritated her an hour before that, but she let you slide.
And an hour after that.
Exactly. So that's my. I think I got off easy with this, but let me just say one last thing about men.
Quickly for me.
What?
Quickly for me.
Oh no, I'm done.
well, Ed, let me say just.
See, Ed, I'm not going to be the old guy. I'm not going to be the old guy in the club.
Just one thing about that statement, because we have to be very careful with what she asked, how we talk about this. You got to go to the roots of that thought. And the roots of that thought, the roots of that statement, I believe, is in slavery, where they were separating us. Is the man supportive of, they didn't want us to be supportive of one another in that slavery institution. Yeah. So the separation, your woman ain't supporting you, your man ain't supporting you, y'all not together. We have to be very careful with that. Because here's the thing, we believe for the most part that our women support us and that they love us and that they will be there for us. We believe that. We don't, as men, we don't believe that. And hopefully black women don't believe that we don't love them and don't support them and don't want them to be great. Some of that is some deep psychological seeds of fear and destruction and separation that has been planted in our communities for a long time, and we have to get past that.
All right.
That's all I'll say.
You said
all right. Again, we are truly up against it, Jen has told me, so I need a quick question, quick answer if you have one specific.
Slavery.
Hi, my name is Colin Owusu. Work at Oracle as a network service improvement engineer. And I had a quick question, essentially. I would want to know, again, probably, let's say, the struggles of probably yesteryear are not necessarily the struggles maybe this generation per se may be facing due to the, help some of the elders have kind of put in place for us. So I would want to know now, personally, as someone, some of you guys sitting up there is essentially
anybody could go one by one, but what would you guys essentially do if you are our age currently trying to make it to get to where you're at in life in general?
Thank you.
Stop trying to do everything. Stop. I mean, listen, I said this one time. Someone brought a young man to me, and I talked to him the whole nine, and they said, what do you think? I said, his hand is not strong because his fingers are in everything. Too many different things. So he doesn't have a strong hand. If you're in too much stuff, if you're trying to do too much, you're trying to be, I know everybody wants a side hustle and all this other stuff. Man, it's the old saying that, you could be a jack of all trades and master of none. And I want to be great on my job, and I want to have a side hustle and, 2 or 3. It's almost impossible to do that. It's particularly when you're young. Focus, have some discipline, understand what your passion is, and then go after that. I think we get, and it's not just a young thing, sometimes we get too distracted with too many things, trying to be too many things, trying to be in too many things. Oh, I'm gonna be a banker and a record producer at the same time. No, you won't. Not if you try, you're gonna be a bad banker and a worse record producer. I mean, it's rare that those things happen, particularly when you're young. Get to know the basics, get to know the fundamentals. Become strong at what you're focused on before you try to branch out and do other things. Get some focus in your life.
All right, here we go. This is our last question. I want to give them an opportunity to just give us a quick thought and a goodbye.
Good afternoon. So you have Black Man A, who is very opportunistic. Black Man A believes that we are in a better position than we are in yesterday. We have nothing but opportunity in today's world and today's economy. Black Man B believes that it's a systematic issue happening and that there needs to be more like reparations, apologies, and things like that. I'm Black Man A. I get a lot of flack. I get called a lot of things because I believe that we have everything that we need to be successful. What can I do to continue in that train of thought so that I can move my family, my community ahead, and also pull my brother, Black Man B, up at the same time? How can that work?
Oh, man.
Good question.
I thought that was a math problem. I was waiting for Black Man C to come in. Y'all didn't know I was that funny, did you?
Say, Ed got jokes.
I'm trying to be polite. First thing you need to do is move out of that neighborhood. Whoever you're talking to, if you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. So here's the answer to your question. There's a guy who went to Africa to sell shoes. And he went there and he sent a cable back to his home office. Get me out of here. I've been all over the continent. Nobody here wears shoes. They sent another person over there. They lost track of him. He just disappeared for like 3 months. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he said, send me everything you've got. It's amazing. No one here wears shoes. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't, you're absolutely right. Is the glass half full or is it half empty? Depends who's looking at the glass. I can't guarantee you that being positive is going to make you a success, but I absolutely guarantee you that being negative is going to make you fail.
That's right.
Folks are not going to understand you, period. And it's okay.
Let me do this. I'm going to let George close us out as he has been wise beyond his years for us for so many years. And George, I want to say thank you for all that you have done for as long as you've done it. Troy, let me start with you. And rather than give a closing thought, I'd love for you guys each to kind of give a closing marching order.
I've said enough.
For these folks.
I've said enough.
You want, oh, me go first. So, I'll go back to kind of where I started. And Ed, you said, hey, let's start to hold each other accountable. I'll say first thing you have to do is hold yourself accountable. You have to look in the mirror, you have to sit with yourself, and you have to say, what type of man do I want to be? because it's going to be hard for me to hold you accountable if you're not willing to hold yourself accountable. So I think it starts with oneself. I do think we have to really understand what excellence means. And excellence is not being the CEO. And listen, I don't want to be biased. You know, I'm very happy with what I do. I'm blessed beyond my wildest imaginations. But everybody's not going to be a CEO. Everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur. But that doesn't mean you're not excellent. Because there's some real rich, powerful black men in this world who are assholes, who are destructive in their communities, who are not good people. I would not let my children be around them. They're not excellent.
Yes.
So again, what is excellence? It starts off how you look at yourself, how you conduct yourself, Rev, values, integrity. That's where it starts. Doesn't matter if you become a millionaire, billionaire, trillionaire. It doesn't matter. What are you? Who are you? How do you comport yourself? That's the challenge.
John?
No, I'm going to pass on my point. I've made more money through races, by the way, than through well-meaning whoever else. That's a whole other conversation another time. Business is not personal, but I'm going to pass on my substantive comment.
I think that we are faced with challenges that can be best understood when we are considering all of the possibilities that each man has. And we've got to figure out, each of us has to figure out, where am I going to make my contribution? And the close is not a position. The close is, what kind of person am I going to be? And if I'm going to be a good person, a person with competence and credibility, then I'm going to have to understand that that has to flow in every part of my life. I got to have a holistic approach. I want to be complete. And so we fail. We fall down, but we get back up. And it's very important that all of us not see our futures as simply a position, but see our futures as a person that I want to become. A person that has sharpened his or her skills, a person who has directed his resources, a person who has prepared himself. The young man asked back, what do I do first? First, I do everything I can to get all of the education and skills I can so I have multiple options for what I want to become. And given that, we begin to be this man that we are talking about who's aspirational. Excellence is aspirational. None of us reaches excellence. We aspire to excellence. We never come to the door of excellence because we are imperfect individuals. All of us are imperfect. But we aspire for excellence, and as long as you see excellence as an aspiration, you won't be blown away by a super ego that makes you unacceptable to many people.
Talk to me.
George, before you give us a closeout, would you give your dates for your conference for those who may in fact want to attend? It's in Atlanta, correct?
Say it again?
Your conference, can you give the dates?
Of the conference? Oh,
yes.
The Power Networking Conference is in Atlanta, November the 5th through the 8th. So it's in about 2 or 3 weeks. If you'd like to participate, just give me your card with your cell number on it, and I'll reduce the price from $2,000 to $599. That's limited to only one person. No, I'm just kidding. So make sure I have your cell number. I'll call you. We'll do the business over the phone. That's it. Let me, my closing statement. White folks are planning for 3 generations. We're planning for Saturday night. The goal, brothers and sisters, kings and queens, ladies and gentlemen, is to win, not to look like we're winning. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. You ain't winning. Louis Vuitton is winning. Gucci is winning. Armani is winning. Nike is winning. We don't lack opportunity in this great country. There is unlimited opportunity. That is not our problem. We're the most creative human beings on earth. Our problem is capacity. So the 21st century for us must be about building our capacity collectively and connecting the dots to take advantage of the unlimited opportunity we have to connect, to grow, and to prosper. Thank you.
Let us give them a round of applause.